Welcome to the No Pricks Allowed podcast with Aaron Buchner from Cactus. I'm Wendy McConnell. Hey there, Aaron. How are you?
I'm doing well today, and today is a special day. We have with us Kim Skermer, who has known me for far too long and knew me from when I was just starting out in the business with trustworthy selling. And I'm sure that brings a tear to her eye remembering that. But we have her on the podcast today to dig a little bit deeper in who I am and my views on the financial industry. So how are you doing, Kim?
I'm doing amazing. And I still have my trustworthy selling books, by the way. I love them dearly and I go back to them all the time.
Don't worry, I have them too. They might be in a box over to the side out of view over here because I don't refer to them as often, but I still have it and all my notes and little tags of stuff along the way in there.
See, my first accomplishment, you didn't burn them, so that's good.
Not yet, not yet.
Not
Give
yet.
it time. Give it time.
Yeah, yeah.
So this is the joyous time of I invited Kim on here because Kim has known me from when I started in the business, when I got, I'm gonna say handpicked to, as a group of new advisors to come and be trained on the proper methods of selling in the industry, in the financial industry, from the life insurance perspective of things. And that's where I first met Kim. And Kim met me as a young, what was it, 8 years ago? Eight. So I was still in my
8 or 9.
20s.
Yep.
8 or 9. So I was in my 30s, so not 20. So I was in my 30s, but I was still one of those people who wore a suit. I think I wore a suit every day there and dress shoes. Did I? Does
You
Kim
did. We
remember that?
locked you up in Fort Knox for 7 days, and you were one of the ones in a suit every day and showed up early and did all the things.
Yeah, I was a dweeb and a nerd, and I over the course of the last 9 years, I've learned to embrace more of who I am and what do I want to do in this industry. Because yeah, I have those suits still, but they collect dust in the closet.
Mhm.
So, Kim, let's get into the dirt. Let's dive into this. I'm sure there's questions you want to dive in and poke my brain about who I am and the way I approach this industry and my oddball uniqueness way. What are those questions?
I have a couple of pages, and I want to start out with I admire and respect you so much. And the reason why I admire and respect you so much is also part of a note that you sent me not too long ago. And the one of the joys of being a coach is that it is to inspire and to be inspired by the people that are in your world. And you sent a note of, we are misfits in the land of the toys. And I thought that was an incredible statement about you. So I want you just to a really, really quick synopsis of when you said that and when I say that to you, we're misfits in the land of the toys. Like really quickly, why did you say that?
Because the way the few of us in our tapped in group and this group of misfit toys that you brought together, we look at the industry in such a different perspective and vision than everyone else I feel in the industry. That we look at how do we operate our business and how do we treat people and how do we even create financial plans is way out in left field compared to the rest of the industry. That they look at what we do and they think we're crazy and we are just misfits. And I just want to remind you that's like we are a bunch of misfits, but we can have a lot of fun being misfits,
Yeah.
and we do.
It's really interesting having you say that because knowing you as long as I have, when you say that, it's because you care so much and you understand and you look outside financial services. So I don't want you to be misunderstood of poo-pooing the industry itself. It's just that whole part of the way you look at things and the people in our group, right? There's so many different approaches because there's so many different ways to approach finance, right? That whole understanding. So before it was kind of a one cookie cutter kind of career shop training module of finding it. And you've looked outside and listened to your voice and listened to the people that are looking for help. So I love being in this land of the misfits. It's a lot of fun, right? The same and the popular things are boring. but it is this whole part of everybody deserves financial wellness and financial plans. And you just have a really cool group. And going back to the beginning when I met you 8 or 9 years ago, at that time, there's two parts to this. Why did you come into financial services in the first place? And why are you in it today? So just to address that part of why did you come in, short and sweet of why did you come in into the industry in financial services those years ago?
Short and sweet. There was two buckets that I would say. There was two ways. It was one is because we moved from Toronto to Kingston, and I had to find a new job, and there was nothing in the consultant industry, so I had to make a business change. But two was, as I've said in the earlier podcasts when I've talked about this, is I did a big soul searching of what did I want to do and what do I enjoy doing, and I found that the things that always made me want to get up on a day-to-day basis was interacting with people and problem solving and getting to know people at a deeper level. So financial industry was just that thing that popped up of you can help people and interact with people and help them on a day-to-day basis of what is their problems and how can you help them achieve it.
Love it. I love it. And so how is that still attached to why you're in it today? What has it evolved to? What has it morphed into?
Oh, it's morphed over the years.
It's awesome.
As
You
you see,
evolve, you grow. I think it's
I
great.
oh I've drastically evolved. So it's changed from a perspective of helping people by selling a product or trying to find a solution to their problems to an aspect of listening to their problems
Mm,
and having a deeper understanding of what are their issues and how can it be resolved. And that way to solve the problem is not necessarily with a product or a solution. Sometimes it's just listening, and
mm,
sometimes it's a behavior change, and sometimes it's just a comment of, have you looked at it from this perspective? So it's definitely evolved from how can I sell something and how can I fix this problem to how can I just listen to someone and help them along the way.
mm. That's a wonderful thing because there is this perception of shame, I guess, around money, around finances and things like that. And you said such a key piece of sometimes you just need someone to talk to, right? That has the education that isn't your spouse, that isn't your parents, right? Of just having this wonderful perspective. And I think that's absolutely amazing. So I love your website. I think it's one of the most beautiful, fantastic websites out there. And
Thank
on
you.
your website, you say you revolutionize the way people perceive their finances. And
Mhm.
so I don't want your unique approach to get lost in the word of revolutionize. So when you say revolutionize, I want you just to hammer down on one point of the difference between fat oops, excuse me. I'd like you to hammer down the difference between flat fee planning, my gosh, say that 10 times, and commission-based planning. So what is the difference? Because it's still kind of those scary words of I don't understand. I've been in the industry over 2 decades. So it's that whole part of what is the difference of you doing this? Why has it revolutionized the way people plan?
Oh, okay. Let me think for a second. The deep comments here. So I provide both methods in my planning. I have both the flat fee as well as the commission based. And the problem is where I look at the people I want to help are the people who may not have a lot of money, may not be the high net worth, may not have the people who have millions of dollars in the bank. These might be people like me who have family, have kids, only have some money in the bank and are trying to build that wealth up to the $1 million. So part of me revolutionizing is getting people to understand that there are two methods to reach your financial goal through a flat fee or a fee only, or sorry, a fee only or a commission based, but neither are wrong and neither are right. It's just what works best for your situation because we look at the flat fee and like it can be a costly upfront expense that a lot of people don't have the thousands of dollars to pay for a flat fee plan. They might look at it and say, I don't want to pay these ongoing commission charges of 1% ongoing, but yet $1,000 is too much. Whereas we can move into the commission based which is based on the amount of assets, and actually pay less amount of money, pay a 1% amount of money, and still get that same financial planning, financial service you would get on the flat fee. So it's kind of opening that door of, hey, if you don't have this $2,000 to pay, but you have this little bucket of money and you're looking for help to build it, you can still pay a commission, still get this great service, get this great financial plan available. And as you build that asset amount up, we can then switch you over to the flat fee model when that income becomes available or that fee becomes too high. So it's revolutionizing the way we look at finance. It's not right or wrong. It's just what works best for you, and flipping between the options of A and B depending on your situation.
I heard you say a lot
That
of
makes
wonderful
sense?
things. It does. It does. And I heard you say, I just want to confirm. We'll still, the jury's still out if it makes sense. So I'm just going to try and confirm that I heard you right.
Yeah.
So addressing this, it's really interesting because you listen to people's situation, you understand where they're coming from, what their situation is, and you have two approaches that will address where they are in their financial planning, in their wealth, where they are sitting at this moment. And you were talking about the importance of why it is important to revisit and consistently talk with your financial planner because situations change and things change. So I hear a lot of really cool involvement and approach in how you are doing this plan, because a lot of times it's set it and forget it, right? We hear that all the time. But it sounds like I'm going to meet you where you're at. We're going to have an ongoing conversation. And the end of one of your financial goals is the beginning of the next. Because there is this dichotomy out there of, I don't have enough money to actually work with a financial planner. But you're saying, no, that's incorrect. There's different ways in a different situation and a different approach. Am I hearing you correct?
Yes. Well, I think it's a layered, when you look at the flat fee versus the commission base, it's a layer from between, okay, what is the cost, which is always the breakdown. Everyone always thinks about, okay, how much is this going to actually afford me? But then it becomes of, okay, what are you actually looking for from a financial advisor? Are you looking for just here's a plan and I hand it to you and you walk out the door? Or are you looking for an ongoing, reoccurring, quarterly, annually, someone's with me the entire way guidance to achieve all my goals? And even then it becomes a fact of when it becomes just too costly, because even in terms of you stay on the commission base, yes, when those assets start growing and you're on that percentage, does it become just you're paying too much for even the service you're providing, that switching over from the commission to the flat fee makes sense. So you can still save money. So you're not paying these, as you can imagine, if we're talking about millions of dollars, 1% on $1 million can be, why am I paying so much for this advice? You can switch to that flat fee and still receive that ongoing advice on a regular basis. And that's where I want to be, is not just the here's a plan, kick you out the door. I want to be, okay, here's your plan. Let's work together and achieve it. And as your life evolves and things happen in life and you have questions, I want to be there to help you along the way, to help you achieve all of those goals.
Amazing. Amazing. It's a lot of conversation around, how you can have help and what works for you. And I think it's great. And it kind of leads into my next question, because you have webinars that you're putting together and conversations that you want to have. And you have this term, and I think you and I worked on it together, of Rewire Happy.
Yes, that was you that came up with Rewire Happy.
And
yes.
and well, I think it was what, well, I think this is this power of listening, right? It was that power of listening of your conversation of people shame and thought and how we handle money in the conversations we have around money. And when we retire, right, there's a whole bunch of pieces of even challenges when we retire. We've been told to save for 65 years or whatever, I guess 45 years or whenever we started to save. Now we've got to spend this money. But I want you to kind of dive into that. What is Rewire Happy? Why did you say, yes, that's it, that feels like me? Because along with the Rewire Happy, we also talked about keep your life exciting and your money boring. So it's those two pieces of, like, what does that mean to you when I said and still say Rewire Happy? Because it stuck with you. Because there's things that I did say to you before that didn't stick with you.
You've said a lot of stuff to me over the years, Kim. Some I listen to, some not so much. Some, yeah.
True story.
But I think the Rewire Happy, what stuck with me is even when I look at the financial industry as a whole and how people envision it, it's always been okay. If you're meeting with an advisor, it's always okay, how much money? What's my returns? It's always about the dollars and the cents. And it's always okay, how do I make more money? What's my returns? And that's always been the conversation. And the Rewire Happy to me was that switch from it's not about the money, it's not about how much you make or the returns, it's how much do you enjoy life. So rewiring the happy of a 10% return on your investment, yes, might feel good, but compared to the life you're living, does it have as much impact and as much joy compared to doing all these other things? So I think that's where Rewire Happy really connected with me. And I've kind of embraced that more and more of it's not the returns, it's not the percentages, worry less about that and worry less more about how you're enjoying life. What are you trying to achieve and how happy can you be on a regular basis?
Bunch of misfits in the land of toys, right?
Yes.
It's such a change, right? Because I used to do well, I still do well, but it's the money's going somewhere differently, right? When you're building a business and stuff like that. And I used to make a lot of money, a lot of money. And I spent every dime because I wasn't happy. And now I personally take home a lot less since I opened up my corporation and the money's going other places. And it's really interesting of when it's perception and how you are looking at things of where is it going towards, what are you building, that you said a really interesting comment of at what cost. So that's a really important question, I think, for your listeners to listen to this and for all of us as people in this conversation of, okay, you have lots of options, but what is the cost? And that's a really interesting way to pause and look at it. I before I go on, I want to ask a couple of fast facts of you, but is there anything
Okay.
that you think you would like your audience to hear or know about you?
Oh gosh. Do I want them to hear and
Is there
know
anything you
about
don't
me?
want the audience to know about you?
Oh yes, anything I don't want. Let me tell you the things I don't want you to. No, I think in terms of me, it's like I well, I think they'll get it through most of the podcasts and the conversations I have. I'm like, I'm not the typical close your eyes and vision a financial advisor. I don't fit within that realm. And I think it definitely comes across with these conversations and the way I talk. I don't fit within that. I am definitely a misfit among definitely a misfit in the area, but I think that comes with I think it's know about me that it's never about the dollars and the cents. I'm not a big money person. Like I don't returns don't excite me, dollars and cents don't excite me, higher returns don't excite me. It's the life you live and the happiness that people are living brings me excitement. Knowing that someone is like, I was just able to do this is the greatest. Like, I was able to go on this vacation, or I was able to buy this toy for my kid, or I was able to sleep one night because I didn't care about my finances as much. Like, that excites me. That to me means, okay, I'm actually adding value to your life, not
Mhm.
I got you an extra $5,000 because we found some tax savings mechanism to save it. So it's even I think about it and go, I had a prospect who came on, and who knows if she's listening to this, but she had reached out to me randomly, and the first comment she said to me when we came on to talk is like, we were chit chatting at the beginning, and as I said, I'm like, I see you had a great week prior to meeting to me. And she's like, oh my God, I'm so scared. Like, I'm so worried, like, my financial advisor is going to hate me because she was scared because on her Instagram, because I creeped her, she had just gone to Vegas and just had spent all this money going to Vegas and going to the Sphere and watching the Grateful Dead concert and then seeing Adele in concert as well. And she was scared that she was going to meet with me. And the first thing I was going to do was make her feel bad for doing something that brought her joy and made her happy for even a week. And I didn't care. I was like, were you happy doing it? She's like, yes. Was it a once in a lifetime opportunity? Yes. Would you absolutely do it tomorrow if you had the chance? She's like, yes. I'm like, perfect. Do it
Awesome.
again. I'm
Awesome.
like, the money will come and go, but experiences, I'm like, enjoy them when they're there and take it.
Yeah. You are. There's this really interesting mix that's with you. And I have known you for a long time. And we always joke about, sometimes you make my left eye hurt and twitch. And I love that about you. That's why I work with people like you, is that you ask this question of how can we do this better? Right? And that's really interesting to see of how our financial services industry is shifting, right? So when you are in the beginning of a change and a shift, you are a misfit, right? Or you are pegged or categorized as something like that. But it is truly important to have these conversations. You care. You are part of my tap-in groups. I've got a couple of them going, and you are one of them. And on Mondays we talk about, okay, what's the week ahead, and then on Wednesdays we do a mindset thing, and then on Fridays we do a reflection. And I'll never forget one of your Friday reflection documents of what are you grateful for that happened this last week. And I laughed so hard because you said a client baked me cookies. And if that doesn't scream like who you are, it's never about the money. It's about these joyous moments and conversations that you have with people. So I admire what you do, Aaron. You always ask this question of how can this be done better? You challenge, you listen, you take direction, you take correction. And I think that's great. And you will listen and you will do it what feels right with your gut when you gather all this information, because you have this wonderful scientific background. So I think it's cool. I think it's really, really cool. Okay, I'm going to ask 5
Yeah.
really, really quick things and then one more question and we're going to wrap up. Okay. So some fast facts.
Okay.
Okay, you ready?
Fast facts. Okay.
How did you find out about Santa Claus?
How did I find out about Santa Claus?
How?
I have two, like that real or fake. Do you mean that, or just
No,
how
no,
I
like
learned
how
about
did you
Santa Claus?
find out? How did you find out there's no such thing as Santa Claus? That he was
Oh,
real?
that? Oh, I'm a Snoopy kid. So I have two older brothers, and they always told me, like, well, they're older. So they always said, oh, there's no such thing as Santa Claus. There's no such thing as Santa Claus. I'm like, that can't be real. They're like, oh, no, there's the presents are all hidden by parents in the closet. I'm like, that can't be true. So sure enough, I listened to them and I went snooping in the closet and I found the presents. And that's how I learned Santa Claus didn't exist, is when I found all the presents. And then sure enough, that Christmas of like all those things came out of from underneath the tree. And that's how I learned there was no Christmas. There was no Christmas. There was no Santa
There's
Claus.
no Christmas. God. What's the secret talent you have?
Secret talent I have. Oh God. Good question. I don't know if I have a secret talent.
Oh, okay. We're going on the next one then. Sorry. Too
Okay, go to
long.
the next one. Yeah. I don't have a talent.
Prized
No.
object.
I have no talent.
I'm not talented at all. I rely on other people.
No, I have no
Prized
unique
object that
special talent.
you've had as a kid. So something, a prized object that you had and carried around with you as a kid.
Oh, did I have anything? Actually, I still have it. It would be a knitted blanket from my grandmother that's not around. It's actually just a big, big blanket, and I still have it, and my kids now have it. It's on our couch. I'm like, I've worn that. I remember days of being young and having that blanket, and I took it with me to university. I don't know if my mom ever knew I took it. It
I
just kind of
knew you
disappeared. I just kind of took
I
it.
knew you'd have a whoopee.
Oh,
Okay, one food you would eat for the
uh,
rest of your life if you had to. What would be the one food? If you had to eat one thing for the rest of your life.
one thing I'd have to go pizza. I am a pizza person. A pizza.
And one, we're going to wrap it up with one random fact that you know that is useless. Useless random fact.
A useless random fact. Do I have any useless random facts?
Come on, your science. There's got to be something in
I know.
there.
I'm going through my science mind of like everything, like animal biology is going through my head of what are all the useless facts that I have in my head that I like, wait, does this, but the problem is I don't say them enough. So I'm like, wait, is this still true? That's the problem that goes through my head. I'm like, I know this fact, but I'm like, is it still true or am I wrong in the thought process of that?
Well, I learned
Ah,
something about you today that you suck in the hot seat. But anyways.
I do. I do. There's one thing, and I think my clients know it about me. Like, I don't
You have
have
to think.
answers to everything, and I never do. And even people, it's like they'll ask me questions and emails, or I'll have client information is like, well, what about this? And I'm like, I don't know. Let me go find out. Like,
I think that's
I'm one of those people. I'm like, I have to do my homework. I don't know. I can't regurgitate facts left, right, and center. It's like, let me go sit back and think about this for 24, 48 hours, and then I'll have the answer. I'm very much one of those people that I'll have a conversation with someone, and then the next day I'll be taking a shower and I'll have that conversation with the shampoo bottle of, this is how I could have won that argument. This is how it was.
And
I'm
then
one
I
of
get
those
a
people.
text.
Yes. And then I text you and go, ha, I'm going to make fun of you now.
Okay.
I have an easy question for Aaron that I think he might be able to handle. Are you wearing a rock t-shirt today? And if so, who?
Yes, I am wearing a rock t-shirt. Another Canadian, Billy Talent.
There you go.
Another Canadian rock band. Yes.
Yeah.
All right. We're going to keep tabs on this rock t-shirt collection that he has.
The problem is with this, Wendy, I'm going to have to go get more.
Yep.
And I don't know if my wife will like the fact that all of a sudden this box will show up with all of these rock band t-shirts.
You only have 2 because you've had a different one each time I've asked.
No, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have 6 in rotation.
You're good for a while then. You're good.
Yeah.
I'm good for a little while.
He's the only second other person that likes the Trues that I've ever met. And I'm like, who are the Trues? Okay. I'm going to wrap this up, my dear, with one last question.
Okay.
Everything that you've gone through so far and all these goals that you were achieving, that is the beginning of the next goal that you're looking for, and how you are evolving and making and revolutionizing financial services. I want you to answer the last part of the sentence. It was all worth it because. So everything you've done to date and continue to do, it's all worth it because.
It's all worth it because I was able to connect with so many people along their financial journey and prove that finance can be more about your life than dollars and cents.
That's wonderful. You have a big heart, my dear. You really, truly do. It was an honor to be asked to kind of help pick your brain and introduce you to the audience. And as people get to meet you, I hope they hang around and listen. You are extremely interesting gentlemen. So thank you for this. And thank you, Wendy, for being our referee. We appreciate it. We behaved really well. So that's all for me. So I'll leave it with you guys. I'll leave it with you to wrap it up.
That went much better than I had. Well, I was actually hoping for a little misbehavior. But anyway, Aaron.
We could keep going. We could just talk for a little while and get some more stuff on here. It's not a problem whatsoever.
How do people get in touch with you if they have more questions?
Absolutely. Well, Kim, if people have questions for you, where can they reach you? I'm sure there's gonna be people if there's like, how is this coach training Aaron? Like they want to know. It's like, you're the coach. If they can handle me, you're good for anyone. Like, this done dinner for you.
A lot of my referrals come in that way. If you can handle Bob, Betsy, Aaron, right? You can handle me. I can be found at theapproachcoachingmethod.ca or just Kim Skermer anywhere. So I'm all over social, LinkedIn, Instagram, but truly, I'm taking a bit of a holiday right now and a bit of a hiatus because we're working on a big, huge project here of bringing a whole bunch of people up to Northern Ontario for retreats and stuff like that. So I'm on a bit of a hiatus for a while. So it's awesome. So thank you.
Okay. So Aaron, how do we get in touch with you?
So you can reach me on my website at prickfree.com or always at Aaron. There you go, Kim, just for you. Aaron at prickfree.com, and I'm on social media as well. And I'm sure those links will be in the notes.
All right. And thank you, both of you. And thank you for listening today. Please like, follow, and share this podcast with your friends. Until next time, I'm Wendy McConnell.
Thank you for listening to the No Pricks Allowed podcast with Aaron Buchner from Cactus. Click the follow button to be notified when new episodes become available. Visit our website at www.prickfree.com or give us a call at 613-876-9899. And don't forget to click the follow button to be notified when new episodes become available. The information covered and posted represents the views and opinions of the guest and does not necessarily represent the views or opinions of Cactus. The content has been made available for informational and educational purposes only. The content is not intended to be a substitute for professional investing advice. Always seek the advice of your financial advisor or other qualified financial service provider with any questions you may have regarding your investment planning. The contents of this podcast do not constitute an offer or solicitation for residence in any other jurisdiction where either Aaron Buchner and/or Sterling Mutuals is not registered or permitted to conduct business. The opinions expressed are those of the authors and do not necessarily reflect the views or opinions of Sterling Mutuals, Inc. Mutual funds provided through Sterling Mutuals, Inc., commissions, trailing commissions, management fees, and expenses all may be associated with mutual fund investments. Please read the prospectus carefully before investing. Mutual funds are not guaranteed. Their values fluctuate frequently, and past performance may not be repeated.